Captain Marcus Chun stared at the holographic message floating above his desk. He read it 3 times, just to make sure he understood correctly. An invitation. A wedding invitation. From Ambassador Xylith herself. Marcus had been working with the Corvani Empire for 6 months now. His job was simple in theory, but hard in practice. He needed to convince them to sign a mining treaty with Earth. The Corvani controlled 3 star systems, rich in rare minerals that humanity desperately needed. Every meeting felt like walking on broken glass. One wrong word could ruin everything. And now this. A personal invitation to the ambassador's wedding. He pressed the button on his desk. Dr. Kim, can you come to my office? Dr. Sarah Kim was his cultural liaison. She knew everything about alien customs and traditions. If anyone could explain this invitation, it was her. She arrived 5 minutes later, her tablet already in hand. You got the invitation, she said. It wasn't a question. Is this normal? Marcus asked. I mean, we've only known each other for 6 months. We're not exactly friends. Sarah sat down and pulled up files on her tablet. For the Corvani, this is a huge honor. They don't invite outsiders to their weddings unless they really respect you. This means Ambassador Xylith trusts you. It's good for the treaty negotiations. Marcus felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. Okay, so what do I need to know? I don't want to mess this up. Sarah smiled. The Corvani take their weddings very seriously. Their ceremonies last for hours. Guests bring gifts and participate in different rituals. The most important part is called the Binding of Lights. The Binding of Lights? The Corvani have crystalline skin, Sarah explained. It glows with bioluminescence. During the wedding, the bride and groom's light patterns synchronize. It's beautiful. I've seen videos. Marcus nodded, taking mental notes. What else? Here's the important part, Sarah said, her voice turning serious. Corvani culture values participation. If you're asked to join a ceremony or ritual, you should do it. Refusing is considered extremely rude. It could damage everything you've built with them. So I say yes to everything? Pretty much. But don't worry. Wedding guests usually just give blessings and witness the ceremony. You'll be fine. Marcus wanted to believe her. He had been a diplomat for 10 years. He had attended ceremonies on a dozen different worlds. How different could this be? 3 days later, Marcus's shuttle approached the Corvani homeworld. The planet gleamed like a jewel below him, its surface covered in crystalline cities that caught and reflected the light of their sun. The wedding was being held on Orbital Palace, a massive structure that floated in space like a crown. When Marcus stepped off the shuttle, he gasped. The palace was made entirely of living crystal. The walls shifted through different colors, responding to the emotions of the people inside. Thousands of guests filled the halls. Marcus recognized some species. Others were completely alien to him. A Corvani attendant approached him. Her skin was a soft blue color, and she moved with fluid grace. Captain Chun, welcome. Please, follow me to your seat. Marcus followed her through the winding halls. The other guests stared at him as he passed. He was the only human present. That made him feel both honored and nervous. The attendant led him to a section near the front of the main hall. You are seated with the honored guests, she said. Marcus looked around. The other people in this section were clearly important. They wore elaborate robes and jewelry. Many of them turned to look at him with what seemed like great interest. Some of their crystalline skin flashed colors he didn't recognize. Thank you, Marcus said to the attendant. She bowed and left. A Corvani official sitting next to Marcus leaned over. You must be very special to Ambassador Xylith, he said in perfect English. We've worked together on the treaty negotiations, Marcus replied carefully. The official's skin flashed bright yellow. Marcus thought that might mean happiness, but he wasn't sure. Ah, yes, the treaty. Very important work. Very important indeed. Before Marcus could respond, music filled the hall. It wasn't like any music he had heard before. The sound seemed to come from the crystal walls themselves, vibrating through the air and into his bones. The ceremony began. Ambassador Xylith entered the hall, and Marcus forgot to breathe. She was magnificent. Her crystalline skin glowed with inner light, shifting through colors like a living rainbow. She wore flowing robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. She moved down the central aisle with perfect dignity, but something confused Marcus. Where was the groom? Xylith walked alone. Maybe this was part of the ceremony, he thought. Maybe the groom would appear later. The ceremony continued with various rituals that Marcus didn't fully understand. Guests came forward to offer blessings and gifts. The music swelled and faded. Xylith stood at the center of it all, her light growing brighter with each passing moment. Then, a Corvani elder stepped forward and spoke in their native language. Marcus's translator struggled with the ornate formal words. He caught fragments. Honored tradition, worthy. Prove themselves, strength and wisdom. The elder turned and looked directly at the section where Marcus sat. Several other guests did the same. Marcus felt his heart start to beat faster. Something was happening, and he didn't understand what. The elder spoke again. And this time Marcus's translator caught most of it. Will the honored suitors come forward to receive the blessing of the bride's family? Around Marcus, several Corvani men stood up. They walked toward the central platform with confident strides. Marcus stayed seated, confused. Why were they calling these men suitors? Wasn't this a wedding? Wasn't Xylith already engaged? The official next to Marcus touched his arm. Captain Chun, aren't you going forward? I'm sorry? Marcus said. The trial, the official said, his skin flashing with confusion. You are here for the trial, yes? I'm here for the wedding, Marcus said slowly. The official's skin went pale white. The wedding trial, yes. You must go forward now. It would be very rude to refuse. Marcus remembered what Dr. Kim had said. Don't refuse, participate. He stood up, his legs feeling unsteady. He walked toward the platform, trying to understand what was happening. When he reached the front, Ambassador Xylith's eyes met his. For just a moment, her crystalline skin flashed a color he recognized. Surprise. But the ceremony continued. Marcus stood among the other Corvani men, feeling completely lost. An elder approached him with an ornate crystal pendant on a silver chain. The pendant glowed with soft blue light. The elder spoke in Corvani. Marcus's translator worked overtime. Do you accept the honor of this trial? Do you offer yourself as worthy? Marcus's mouth went dry. He didn't know what to say. Every instinct told him something was wrong. But Dr. Kim's warning echoed in his mind. Don't refuse. Don't insult them. The treaty depends on this. He bowed his head. The elder placed the pendant around his neck. The moment the clasp closed, the entire hall erupted in sound. Thousands of voices cheered. Music thundered through the crystal walls. Xylith's skin flashed brilliant gold, so bright that Marcus had to squint. She stepped forward and took his hand. Her touch was warm, despite her crystalline appearance. Through the roar of the crowd, Marcus's translator picked up words that made his blood turn to ice. Victorious. Worthy mate. The trial complete. Husband and wife. Marcus stood frozen, Xylith's hand in his, while the horrible truth crashed over him. Like a wave. He hadn't been invited to attend a wedding. He had just become the groom. Marcus tried to pull his hand away, but Xylith held it firmly. Her golden glow began to fade to a softer amber color. Around them, the celebration grew louder. Guests pressed forward, offering congratulations in a dozen different languages. "Wait," Marcus said, but his voice was lost in the noise. "I don't understand." "I didn't." A Corvani elder placed a hand on his shoulder. The old being's skin was a deep purple, marked with patterns that spoke of great age. "Such humility," the elder said, his voice warm with approval. "To pretend you don't understand the honor given to you. Very clever, young human. Very clever indeed." "No, I really don't," Marcus tried again, but the elder was already turning away, gesturing to the crowd. "See how he plays the innocent. The old ways are not forgotten. Modesty in victory shows true character." The crowd cheered again. Marcus felt like he was drowning. He looked at Xylith, desperate for help. Her face was unreadable, her skin now a steady orange color that his limited knowledge couldn't interpret. Attendants appeared and began to guide Marcus and Xylith through the crowd. People reached out to touch the crystal pendant around his neck. Each touch made it glow brighter. Marcus wanted to rip it off, but something told him that would make things even worse. They were led to a raised platform at the far end of the hall. Two throne-like chairs waited there. Xylith sat in one, and the attendants gestured for Marcus to take the other. He sat down heavily, his mind racing. He fumbled for his communicator, trying to call Dr. Kim, but when he pressed the button, nothing happened. The crystal walls of the palace were blocking the signal dot. An attendant brought him a cup filled with glowing liquid. "The ceremonial wine," she whispered. "You must drink." Marcus took the cup with shaking hands. He looked at Xylith. She was watching him with those strange, faceted eyes. Her skin had shifted to a deep blue. "Is it safe?" he asked her quietly. "It won't harm you," she replied. Her voice was soft, musical. This was the first time he had heard her speak directly to him. Marcus drank. The liquid tasted like starlight and honey. It warmed him from the inside. The ceremony continued for what felt like hours. There were more speeches, more music, more rituals that Marcus didn't understand. Through it all, he and Xylith sat side by side on the platform. Sometimes their hands were joined by attendants. Sometimes they were asked to stand and bow to different groups of guests. Marcus's mind kept trying to work out what had happened. The invitation had said wedding. He was sure of it. But clearly, something had been lost in translation. Some crucial detail that changed everything. Finally, as the celebration began to wind down, a small group of Corvani officials approached the platform. They bowed low to both Marcus and Xylith. "If the honored couple would follow us," one of them said, "we have prepared private quarters where you may rest." Marcus stood on unsteady legs. The ceremonial wine had made him feel lightheaded. Or maybe it was just shock. He followed the officials, Xylith walking beside him. They were taken to a suite of rooms that took Marcus's breath away. The walls were made of clear crystal that looked out onto the stars. Furniture of living metal and stone filled the space. Everything glowed with soft, welcoming light. "We will bring refreshments," an official said. "And tomorrow, the formal registration of the union will take place. Rest well, honored ones." The officials bowed and left. The door sealed behind them with a soft chime. Marcus and Xylith stood alone in the beautiful room. The silence felt heavy. "I need to contact my ship," Marcus said. His voice came out rougher than he intended. "I need to speak to my cultural advisor. There's been a terrible mistake." Xylith's skin flashed through several colors in quick succession. Red, orange, white, blue. "Sit down, Captain Chen," she said, "before you fall down. That wine is stronger than you're used to." Marcus sat on one of the couches. It adjusted to support him perfectly. He put his head in his hands. "What just happened?" he asked. "Please. I need to understand." Xylith sat across from him. Her skin was now a pale green. She was quiet for a long moment. "My family sent you an invitation to the wedding trial," she finally said. "Not to attend a wedding, to compete to become the groom." Marcus looked up at her. "But the translation was not wrong exactly," Xylith interrupted. "In the old Kovani dialect, the word for wedding trial and wedding ceremony are very similar. They differ by only one harmonic, a harmonic that human ears cannot hear. So, when I accepted the invitation, you accepted the invitation to compete for my hand in marriage," Xylith finished. Along with the other suitors, Marcus felt sick. "And when I accepted the pendant, that was the final test. The trial of worthiness has many parts: strength, wisdom, courage. The suitors were tested throughout the ceremony in ways you probably didn't even notice. The other Kovani men knew what was happening. They were trying to impress me and my family. And I was just there," Marcus said weakly. "You were there," Xylith agreed. "But you also passed every test without knowing it. You showed respect to all the guests. You remained calm and dignified even when confused. You accepted the ceremonial wine without fear. And when offered the pendant, you accepted it with humility. I accepted it because I thought it would be rude to refuse." Xylith's skin flashed yellow. Marcus was starting to think that meant amusement. "Yes, my family and the guests found that very charming. They think you were being clever, pretending ignorance to seem humble. It's considered a very attractive quality in a mate." Marcus stood up and started pacing. "This is insane. I can't be married. I don't even know you. I came here to negotiate a mining treaty. And now you are married to the ambassador you were negotiating with," Xylith said. Her skin had gone back to that unreadable orange. "Congratulations, Captain Chen. You have certainly made an impression." "This has to be fixable," Marcus said. "There has to be a way to undo this, to explain the mistake." "There is no mistake in Korvani law," Xylith said quietly. "You accepted the trial. You won. The marriage is legal and binding, but I didn't know. That doesn't matter. Intent is not considered in our marriage law. Only action." Marcus stopped pacing and looked at her. Really looked at her. Her crystalline features were beautiful in an alien way. But he knew nothing about her. Nothing except that she was a skilled negotiator and apparently now his wife. "What happens if I refuse?" he asked. "What if I just leave?" Xylith's skin went very dark, almost black. "Then I will be shamed before my entire family, before the Empire. The suitor who won the trial and rejected the bride. It would destroy my political career, my family's honor, everything. And if you refuse, can you annul this?" "I could," Xylith said slowly. "But the consequences would be the same. Perhaps worse. It would appear that you won fairly, and I rejected you for being human, for being an outsider. The scandal would be enormous." Marcus sat back down. He felt trapped. Completely, utterly trapped. "There's more," Xylith added. Her voice was very quiet now. "Kovani marriage bonds are recognized by treaty across 12 star systems. Breaking such a bond carries severe penalties. Economic sanctions, exile, for both parties. So we're stuck," Marcus said. "We are stuck," Xylith agreed. They sat in silence for a long time. Through the crystal walls, Marcus could see the stars turning slowly. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home, his life, his career that he had just accidentally destroyed. "I should tell you something," Xylith said eventually. "I didn't want this marriage trial. My family arranged it against my wishes. There was a Korvani noble they wanted me to marry, Lord Craster. I despise him. I've been fighting this for months." Marcus looked at her with new understanding. "And then I accidentally became your escape route." "Yes," Xylith said. Her skin flashed several colors. I know you don't believe me, but when you accepted that pendant, part of me was relieved. Grateful, even. Anything to avoid Craster. That's something, I suppose, Marcus said bitterly. We need to contact your ship, Xylus said, standing. Your Dr. Kim will know what to do. She can help us find a solution. Marcus nodded. But deep down, he was starting to suspect that there was no easy solution to this problem. He had walked into an alien wedding as a guest, and somehow, impossibly, he had walked out as the groom. Marcus woke up on a couch that he didn't remember falling asleep on. Soft light filtered through the crystal walls. For a moment, he thought the whole thing had been a dream. Then he saw the crystal pendant still hanging around his neck, and reality came crashing back. He sat up and found Xylus sitting across the room, working on a holographic display. Her skin was a neutral gray color. Dr. Kim is on her way up from your ship, Xylus said without looking at him. I managed to get a message through early this morning. She should be here within the hour. Thank you, Marcus said. His voice was rough from sleep. There's food in the next room, and clothing that should fit you. We have about 3 hours before the formal registration ceremony. Marcus stood quickly. We can't go through with that. Not until we figure this out. If we don't attend the registration, it will cause an immediate scandal, Xylus replied. Her skin flashed dark red. Better to appear calm while we work on solutions behind the scenes. Marcus wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. He went to clean up and change. The clothing provided was a mix of human and Corvani styles. It actually fit him perfectly, which suggested that someone had been very prepared for this possibility. That thought disturbed him more than he wanted to admit. Dr. Kim arrived exactly when promised. She rushed into the room, her face pale with worry. Captain, I am so sorry. I had no idea. The invitation was in the formal dialect, and I missed the harmonic difference. I've been studying Corvani culture for 10 years, and It's not your fault, Sarah, Marcus interrupted. What's done is done. The question is, what do we do now? Dr. Kim pulled up files on her tablet. I've been in contact with Earth Command and the Corvani diplomatic office all night. The situation is complicated. How complicated? Marcus asked, though he dreaded the answer. The marriage is legally binding under Corvani law, which Earth recognizes through the Treaty of 7 Stars. Breaking the bond would require both parties to petition for dissolution. The process takes a minimum of 1 Corvani year. 1 year? Marcus felt the walls closing in. How long is that in Earth time? 14 months, Dr. Kim said quietly. And there are conditions. You have to live together during that time. You have to prove that the marriage is truly incompatible. It's not just a waiting period. It's a trial period. Xylith spoke for the first time. If we refuse to go through the dissolution process properly, the consequences fall on both our species. The treaty system is very old, very established. Many civilizations depend on it. So, our choice is to stay married for over a year, or cause an interstellar incident, Marcus said flatly. That's the shape of it. Yes, Dr. Kim confirmed. Marcus sank into a chair. What does Earth Command say? Dr. Kim hesitated. They're treating this as a high-level diplomatic situation. They've ordered you to do whatever it takes to preserve the treaty relationships. In their words, one officer's personal situation cannot be allowed to jeopardize humanity's standing among the interstellar community. So they're ordering me to stay married. They're ordering you to handle this delicately and to maintain positive relations with the Corvani Empire, which means staying married. Marcus repeated. Dr. Kim nodded reluctantly. Xyla stood and walked to the window. Her skin cycled through several colors. There may be a solution that satisfies everyone, she said. We go through with the registration today. We live together as the law requires. We maintain the appearance of a proper marriage for diplomatic purposes. And in 14 months, we quietly file for dissolution. No scandal. No broken treaties. Both our peoples maintain their honor. 14 months of pretending to be married, Marcus said. It's better than the alternative, Xylith replied. And I promise you, Captain, I will make this as painless as possible. We don't have to share quarters beyond what appearances demand. We don't have to pretend affection in private. Just in public. Dr. Kim looked between them. It could work. It's essentially a long-term diplomatic assignment. You've done harder things, Captain. Marcus wanted to argue. He wanted to refuse. But he knew they were right. The marriage had been his mistake, even if it was an innocent one. Now he had to deal with the consequences like an adult. Fine, he said. We do this properly. 14 months. Then we're done. Xylith's skin flashed blue. Agreed. The formal registration ceremony was much smaller than the wedding trial. Only close family members and high-ranking officials attended. Marcus stood beside Xylith and repeated words in Corvani that he barely understood. He signed documents in 3 different languages. Through it all, he felt like he was watching someone else's life. When it was over, a Corvani official congratulated them both. You are now formally registered as bonded mates. May your union bring prosperity to both your peoples. Marcus forced a smile. Thank you. Over the next few days, Marcus's life transformed completely. He was moved from his quarters on the Wanderer to a residence on the Corvani Orbital Palace. It was beautiful and spacious, with separate rooms for him and Xylith. But it was also a cage. The news of the marriage spread quickly. Within a week, it was the biggest story in 12 star systems. Some species celebrated it as a beautiful example of interspecies cooperation. Others saw it as a scandal. The Corvani isolationist faction, led by Lord Craster, publicly questioned whether the marriage was legal. Marcus learned quickly that Lord Craster was exactly as terrible as Xylith had described. The noble appeared on news broadcasts, his crystalline skin a furious red, denouncing the marriage as a mockery of tradition. A human cannot understand our ways, Craster declared in one interview. This union is an insult to everything the Corvani hold sacred. Watching the broadcast in their shared quarters, Xylith's skin went nearly black with anger. He's just bitter that I escaped him, she muttered. Marcus had to admit. Seeing Craster made him feel slightly better about the situation. At least Xylith was married to him, and not to that pompous fool as weeks passed. Marcus and Xylith developed a routine. They attended official functions together. They smiled for cameras. They answered questions from reporters about their love story. In private, they maintained careful distance, but slowly, things began to change. Marcus discovered that Xylith had a sharp sense of humor that she only showed in private. She made fun of the pompous officials they had to deal with. She did impressions of other ambassadors that made Marcus laugh despite himself. Xylith learned that Marcus was deeply passionate about his work. He told her about Earth, about his childhood in San Francisco, about why he had joined the diplomatic corps. She listened with genuine interest, her skin cycling through colors that Marcus was learning to read. One evening, about a month into their arrangement, they were reviewing documents for an upcoming state dinner. Xylith was teaching Marcus how to read Corvani political hierarchies. You see this pattern in the skin color? She said, pointing at an image. That means old nobility. Very traditional. Very traditional. They'll expect you to observe all the formal protocols. Like the 3-part bow? Marcus asked. Exactly. And don't mention earth food in front of Lord Varix. He thinks organic matter is disgusting. Marcus laughed. How do you keep track of all these rules? I've been doing this my whole life, Xylith said. Her skin was a warm amber color. You're actually learning very quickly. Most humans would have given up by now. I'm stubborn, Marcus admitted. I've noticed, Xylith said. Her skin flashed yellow with amusement. There was a comfortable silence. Then Xylith spoke again, her voice softer. Can I ask you something personal? Sure, Marcus said. Do you hate this? Being married to me? Marcus looked at her, surprised by the vulnerability in her voice. I don't hate it, he said honestly. It's not what I planned. It's not what I wanted. But I don't hate it. And I don't hate you. That's good, Xylith said. Her skin shifted to a soft blue. Because I don't hate you either. Actually, you're much better company than I expected. Is that a compliment? From a Corvani, yes. We're not known for being warm and fuzzy. Marcus smiled. I'll take it. Later that night, lying in his bed in the quiet palace, Marcus realized something surprising. He had stopped counting down the days until the dissolution period ended. He had stopped thinking of this as a prison sentence. Somewhere along the way, he had started thinking of Xylith as a partner. Maybe even a friend. It was a dangerous thought. This was temporary. It had to be temporary. In 30 more months, they would file for dissolution and go their separate ways. But for the first time, Marcus wondered if that was really what he wanted, and that scared him more than anything else that had happened. 3 months into the marriage, Marcus realized he had learned to read Xylith's moods better than he could read most humans. The color shifts that had once confused him now told him everything he needed to know. Pale blue meant she was thinking. Deep purple meant she was annoyed. Bright yellow meant genuine happiness. Right now, she was bright red. That meant she was angry. They're doing this on purpose, Xylith said, pacing across their shared living room. Her skin pulsed with darker shades of crimson. Lord Craster is behind it. I know he is. Marcus looked up from the report he was reading. What happened? The council denied my proposal for the education reform program. Again, the 3rd time this year. She stopped pacing and turned to him. Every time I try to change something, to make things better for the lower classes, they block me. And Craster always leads the opposition. Marcus had learned about Xylith's passion for social reform over the past months. The Corvani society was rigidly divided by class. Those born into lower castes had almost no chance to advance. Xylith wanted to change that. She had plans for education programs, job training, pathways for social mobility. Let me see the proposal, Marcus said. Xylith sent it to his tablet. Marcus read through it carefully. He had been a diplomat long enough to recognize political sabotage when he saw it. The problem isn't the proposal itself, Marcus said after a few minutes. It's brilliant. The problem is how you're presenting it. Xylith's skin flashed orange. Confusion mixed with irritation. What do you mean? You're making it sound revolutionary. That scares the old nobility. They think you're trying to tear down the entire system. Marcus pulled up the document and highlighted several sections. Look at this wording. Fundamental restructuring of social mobility. That sounds like you want to destroy everything they've built. I do want to destroy parts of it, Xylith said. The parts that are unjust. I know, but you can't say it that way. Not if you want them to vote for it. Marcus started making notes. What if we reframe this as preserving tradition while adapting to modern needs? What if we make it about strengthening the empire, not changing it? Xylith sat down beside him, watching as he worked. You think changing the words will make a difference? Words are everything in politics, Marcus said. Watch. He spent the next hour rewriting portions of the proposal. He kept all of Xylith's ideas, but presented them differently. Instead of revolution, he framed it as evolution. Instead of helping the lower classes at the expense of nobility, he showed how education and social mobility would strengthen the entire empire economically and militarily. When he finished, Xylith read through it. Her skin cycled through several colors. Finally, it settled on a warm amber. "This is good," she said quietly. "This might actually work." "You did the hard part," Marcus said. "You came up with the ideas. I just know how to sell them to stubborn politicians." Xylith looked at him for a long moment. "We make a good team, Captain Chun." "Marcus," he said. "After 3 months of marriage, you can call me Marcus." "Marcus," she repeated. Her skin flashed that bright yellow that meant happiness. "And you should call me Xylith. Not Ambassador. Just Xylith." Something shifted between them in that moment. A wall coming down. They had been living together for months, but this felt different. More real. Over the following weeks, they fell into a new pattern. They started working together on Xylither's reform projects. Marcus helped her navigate the political landscape, while Xylith taught him the deeper complexities of Corvani culture. They also started spending time together outside of work. Xylith introduced Marcus to Corvani literature. She had an entire library of ancient texts and modern novels. Marcus was surprised to discover that she loved poetry. "This one is my favorite," she said one evening, pulling up a text on the holographic display. She read it aloud in Corvani, and even without understanding all the words, Marcus could hear the beauty in it. "What's it about?" he asked. "It's about 2 moons orbiting the same planet," Xylith said. "They're drawn to each other but can never touch. They can only watch each other from a distance, always moving in patterns around something larger than both of them." "That's sad," Marcus said. "Most Corvani poetry is sad," Xylith replied. "We're not a cheerful people." "I've noticed," Marcus said with a smile. "But you've been happier lately. Your skin stays yellow more often." Xylith's skin flashed several colors in quick succession. She seemed flustered. "Have I?" "I hadn't noticed." Marcus didn't push it, but he had noticed. She was different now than she had been at the beginning. More relaxed. More open. So was he, if he was being honest. One night, they were invited to a state dinner with representatives from 6 different species. It was a major diplomatic event. Marcus and Xylith arrived together, presenting a united front. Lord Craster was there, of course. His skin was its usual angry red when he saw them. He made several cutting remarks throughout the evening about inappropriate unions and the degradation of tradition. Xylith ignored him with practiced grace. But Marcus saw her skin darkening with barely controlled anger. During the dinner, a representative from the Therian Collective asked Marcus a question. "Captain Chun, how do you and Ambassador Xylith manage the cultural differences in your marriage? Surely there must be significant challenges." It was meant to be a polite question, but Marcus heard the edge in it. Everyone wanted to know if the marriage was real or just political theater. Marcus glanced at Xylith. Her skin was carefully neutral gray. He made a decision. "The cultural differences are what make it work," Marcus said clearly. "Xylith sees things I would never notice. I see things she might miss. We balance each other, challenge each other, make each other better." He paused, then added, "I came to the wedding trial by accident." "That's true. But staying with Xylith? That's been my choice every day since." The room went quiet. Xylith's skin flashed brilliant gold. It was the same color it had been on their wedding day. She looked at Marcus with an expression he couldn't quite read. Lord Craster stood abruptly and left the dinner. Several other isolationists followed him. Later, back in their quarters, Xylith was quiet. Her skin kept shifting colors in ways Marcus had learned meant she was thinking deeply about something. "You didn't have to say that," she finally said. At the dinner, You could have just given a diplomatic non-answer. I know, Marcus said. But it was true. Staying with you has been my choice. We have 10 more months, Xyla said. Then we file for dissolution. That was the plan. That was the plan, Marcus agreed. They stood in silence for a moment. The air between them felt charged with something unspoken. What if? Xyla started, then stopped. Her skin was cycling rapidly through colors. What if we didn't file for dissolution? Marcus's heart started beating faster. What are you saying? I'm saying that this arrangement has become more than just a political convenience. At least it has for me. Xyla's skin settled on a deep blue. You've helped me with my work. You've made me laugh. You've stood beside me against people like Craster. You've become someone I trust. Someone I care about. Xylith, Marcus said. I know this is complicated, she interrupted. You're human. I'm Corvani. We're from different worlds. Different species. But that doesn't change how I feel. Marcus crossed the room to stand in front of her. How do you feel? I don't know the word for it in English, Xyla said. Her skin was glowing now, shifting through warm colors. In Corvani, we call it Kethra. It means a bond that goes beyond choice, beyond logic, a connection that feels like it was always meant to be. We call that love, Marcus said quietly. Xyla's skin flashed that brilliant gold again. Then yes. I think I love you, Marcus-chan, even though it makes no sense. Even though we're an impossible match. Marcus found himself smiling. You know what humans are known for? We're known for doing impossible things. For going to impossible places. For building impossible relationships. Is that a yes? Xylith asked. Her skin was almost painfully bright now. That's a yes, Marcus said. I love you too. I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was gradual. Maybe it was all at once. But yes, Xylith reached out and took his hand. Her crystalline skin was warm against his. So we're doing this? Really doing this? We're already married, Marcus pointed out. We might as well make it real. Xylith laughed. It was the first time Marcus had heard her truly laugh. The sound was beautiful, musical, like crystal chimes in the wind. They had started as strangers bound by a mistake. They had become partners out of necessity. And now, somehow impossibly, they had become something more. Marcus looked at his wife and realized he had never felt more at home than he did right now. In an alien palace, married to someone from another world. Maybe that was what humanity brought to the stars. Not just technology or trade, but the ability to find love in the most unexpected places. Marcus woke to find Xylith already awake, sitting by the window. Her skin was a deep purple. That meant worry. What's wrong? He asked, sitting up. Lord Craster has filed a formal challenge to our marriage, Xylith said, without turning around. It arrived this morning. The council is required to hear it. Marcus got up and went to stand beside her. Through the crystal window, he could see the Corvani homeworld below, beautiful and serene, a contrast to the storm that was apparently coming. What kind of challenge? He asked. He's claiming the marriage is fraudulent, that we only stayed together out of political necessity, not genuine affection. He's demanding that we prove our bond is real through the synchronization ritual. Marcus had heard of the synchronization. It was a sacred Corvani tradition where married couples demonstrated their emotional connection. Explain it to me, he said. Xylith finally turned to look at him. Her skin was cycling through dark colors. In synchronization, the couple holds hands and shares their most meaningful memories together. As they remember these moments, their bioluminescence patterns respond. In truly bonded couples, the patterns align. They synchronize. And if they don't synchronize, then the marriage is declared invalid. I would be forced to marry Croster, and you would be sent back to Earth in disgrace. Marcus felt anger rising in him. This is just his way of getting what he wants. He doesn't care about tradition. He just wants you. I know, Xylith said. But the law is clear. If he challenges, we must answer. The ritual is scheduled for tomorrow. Tomorrow? That's not much time. He made sure of that. Xylith's skin flashed red. He wants us to fail. He's probably been planning this for months. Marcus took her hands in his. Her crystalline skin was cool to the touch. Then we don't fail. We've been together for 11 months, Xylith. We know each other. We care about each other. That has to count for something. You don't understand, Xylith said. Her voice cracked slightly. The synchronization responds to biological compatibility. Corvani couples can do it because we're the same species. Our bioluminescence is designed to sync with other Corvani. But you're human. You don't have crystalline skin. You don't glow. So we're doomed before we start? I don't know. No human has ever attempted this ritual. There's no data, no precedent. We could fail simply because our biology is too different. Marcus pulled her close. He could feel her trembling slightly. We have to try. What's the alternative? Give up? Let Craster win? No, Xylith said firmly. Her skin shifted from purple to red to orange. No, I won't let him win. We'll do the ritual. And if we fail, at least we'll fail trying. The next day, the synchronization chamber was packed with observers. The entire Corvani Council was present. Representatives from a dozen species filled the viewing galleries. News crews from across the star systems had set up cameras. Lord Craster sat in the front row, his skin a smug orange color. Marcus and Xylith stood in the center of the chamber. The space was designed specifically for this ritual. The walls were made of the most pure crystal, designed to amplify and reflect bioluminescence. In the dim lighting, Xylith's skin glowed softly. A Corvani elder approached them. She was ancient, her skin marked with patterns that spoke of centuries of life. Do you both consent to this synchronization? She asked formally. We do, Xylith and Marcus said together. Then join hands and let your memories guide you to truth. Marcus took Xylith's hands. Her skin felt warmer than usual. He looked into her eyes and saw fear there. But he also saw determination. The elder began to chant in Old Corvani. The crystal walls started to resonate with the sound. Xylith's bioluminescence began to pulse in rhythm with the chanting. Remember, the elder said. Remember the moments that bound you together. Marcus closed his eyes and thought back to their first real conversation. The night after the wedding, when they had both been so angry and scared and confused. He remembered Xylith's honesty, her admission that she had been trapped by her family's expectations. He felt something, a warmth in his chest, a tingling in his hands where he held Xylith. Keep going, the elder encouraged. Marcus thought of the weeks that followed. Learning to live together. The awkward dinners. The careful distance they had maintained. And then the slow thawing. The first time Xylith had made him laugh. The first time he had seen her drop her diplomatic mask and just be herself. The tingling grew stronger. He opened his eyes and gasped. Xylith was glowing brighter than he had ever seen her. Waves of light pulsed across her crystalline skin in complex patterns. But that wasn't what shocked him. His own hands were glowing. Faintly, but unmistakably. A soft blue light was emanating from his skin. How? Marcus started. Don't stop, Xylith whispered. Her eyes were wide. Keep remembering. Marcus thought of the night they had rewritten her education proposal together. The way they had worked side by side, their ideas flowing together seamlessly. He remembered her excitement when the council finally approved it. The way her skin had flashed gold with pure joy. The light from his hands grew brighter. It was responding to his emotions, to his memories. He could feel Xylith's pulse through their joined hands. Or maybe it was his own pulse. He couldn't tell anymore. "The night of the state dinner," Xylith said softly, "when you defended our marriage in front of everyone." Marcus remembered. He remembered the looks on people's faces, the way Craster had stormed out. But most of all, he remembered Xylith's expression, the gold flash of her skin. The moment he had realized that his feelings for her had become something deeper than partnership. The light patterns swirled around them now. Xylith's crystalline glow and Marcus's softer human luminescence were dancing together. They weren't identical. They would never be identical. But they were moving in harmony, responding to each other, adapting and flowing together. "The first time you told me you loved me," Marcus said. "You said, Kethra." "The first time you said it back," Xylith replied. "You said it made no sense. But you loved me anyway." The lights pulsed brighter. The patterns weren't perfectly synchronized. They were imperfect, mismatched in places. But they were undeniably connected, one responding to the other, creating something new together. In the viewing gallery, someone gasped. Then another. Marcus could hear whispers spreading through the crowd. The elder, who had been leading the ritual, had tears streaming down her face. Her skin was cycling through a rainbow of colors. "In all my years," she whispered, "in all my centuries, I have never seen anything like this." The chanting stopped. The lights stabilized. Marcus and Xylith stood together, still glowing, their hands still joined. The head of the council stood. He looked at Lord Craster. "The challenge is denied. The synchronization has been achieved. This marriage is recognized as genuine and binding under Corvani law." Craster's skin went almost black with rage. He stood as if to protest, but several other council members stood with him, their expressions making it clear that any argument would be futile. Craster left the chamber. This time, no one followed him. The chamber erupted in sound. Cheers, questions, excited chatter in a dozen languages. Scientists were already pulling up data, trying to understand what had just happened. Marcus and Xylith stood in the center of it all, still holding hands, still glowing faintly. "We did it," Marcus said. He was smiling so hard, his face hurt. "You did it," Xylith corrected. "Humans don't have bioluminescence. But somehow, you made your body respond. You synchronized with me." "No," Marcus said. "We synchronize with each other. That's what love does, right? It makes you adapt. It makes you meet in the middle." Later, in their quarters, away from the crowds and cameras, they finally had a moment alone. "You know what this means," Xylith said. She was sitting beside Marcus on the couch, her head resting on his shoulder. "We're the first confirmed human Corvani bonded pair. The scientists are going to want to study us. The media will never leave us alone. This is going to change everything." "Everything already changed," Marcus pointed out. "The moment I put on that pendant, do you regret it?" Xylith asked. "Any of it?" Marcus thought about his answer carefully. A year ago, he had been a simple diplomatic captain. His biggest concern had been negotiating a mining treaty. Now he was married to an alien ambassador. He had become a symbol of interspecies cooperation. His life would never be simple again. "No," he said finally. "I don't regret it. Not one moment." Xylith's skin flashed gold. "Good, because I asked the council for a favor." "What kind of favor?" "I'm creating a new position. Ambassador for Human Corvani Cultural Exchange. It's going to be a joint program. Education, art, science, building bridges between our peoples." "That sounds ambitious," Marcus said. "It is. And I need someone to run it. Someone who understands both cultures. Someone who has experience navigating impossible situations. She looked up at him. I'm hoping you'll take the job. Marcus laughed. Are you offering me a job, Ambassador? I'm offering you a purpose, Zelith corrected. You came here to negotiate a mining treaty, but you've done something much more important. You've proved that humans and Corvani can build real connections, can create something new together. We're going to be busy, Marcus said. Very busy, Xylith agreed. But we'll be busy together. Marcus kissed her forehead. It still felt strange sometimes, kissing someone with crystalline skin. But it also felt right, natural, like coming.